in the throttle a little bit everywhere. The question is, do you like chomp the gas? Do you roll out for a longer period of time, then roll back in? Like how do you work the pedal? Adam, you and I, we would make it. We would make it, right? But you know, how do you run that park throttle is going to be the real trick. And how do you come to speed, right?
That was what I was going to say. The more important thing, or equally as important, right, is getting off pit road, getting launched off of pit road, using all of that time coming around to the green flag, trying to gain as much speed as possible. If you underdrive the car or don't, you know, whatever speed you're carrying at the start-finish line, just builds during the entire lap.
And it's going to be crazy. You're going to see right here. So remember, we saw 202 and 203, but the draft has something to do with that.
A little bobble right there.
Throttle bright green. So you see less top speed without the draft, higher minimum speed because they have just all the grip in the world with brand new tires. So that's the real trick here, right? Is when we saw 185 as a minimum, this is a 193 minimum, 192. I would tell my driver to not run the apron. It's rough. I would not want him to go below that white line like that. I would say no thanks. I don't want you to drag the splitter off or the diffuser back there. It's not worth it to me.
Really big bump right here down on the front straightaway. And the lower you run, the worse that bump is. Right here. Bam. Bam.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so that bump's much better way up the racetrack. Of course, you can't drive right here, right, coming to the checkered flag. You need to cut a little bit of that distance off of the lap just by going lower. To your point, Steve, how low can I go as a driver?
Yeah, I would just tell you, white line. Just stay on the racetrack. I know there's a bump there, but the apron is what I'm really more concerned about, dragging something off that hurts our aero balance later.
The lap for Gregson, 37.12, equates to just shy of 194 miles per hour. Car 2 out in qualifying, Cody Ware.
A little glitch in the telemetry there. Cody's certainly wide open, and you see that car go through those bumps right there, struggling, Marty.
Junior, let's chat with Ryan Priest. So we're seeing speeds of 202 entering turn 1. When you think of the commitment level needed at Michigan, where does this track rank on the schedule?
About as high as you're going to get. 202, that's wild, man. But honestly, this Castrol Ford Mustang's solid. So I feel like, judging off what I've seen, you're going to be wide open. And going 200 plus into the corner doing that, well, that's something. This is, I'm pumped about it.
If the boss man, Brad Kozlowski, can't get a win as a driver, I'm sure he would take one as an owner, Adam.
Yeah, you take him any way you can get him. And both his drivers, both his teammates dancing right around that cut line as we check in on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
And what I see a little bit different with Ricky versus the 4 of Gregson is Ricky's a little bit further up the racetrack. Gregson went to the bottom of the groove in both ends of the racetrack. Stenhouse ran a little bit higher through both corners. And that just adds a little feet now. It changes the balance of the car. Crossing over that seam can upset the car. So he just didn't think he needed to go down there, but it is going to add feet distance to the lap unnecessarily. We'll see what the other drivers do as this continues.
Stenhouse is second, Danielle.
All right, double A. We got the driver of the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, Christopher Bell. He was second fastest in his respective brackets. No top 10s here at this oval, but you've wrecked while leading, so you have a lot of speed. How does the car feel today?
It feels really good. Every time that we've come to this racetrack, I've been super confident and had really fast race cars. I was disappointed whenever I read that stat that I have no top 10s here.
Sorry.
Because we've performed really well. I've crashed a lot, unfortunately. It's easy to crash here, especially with this new car. But it's just been a ton of fun. I love this racetrack. Hopefully this weekend's the weekend we break that streak.
So you said crashes, confidence, fun, all these things are...
Yeah, like, for never having a top 10, you would think that I didn't like this place, but every time we come here, it's a blast. I mean, it's the fastest track on the schedule, and it's just all about commitment, and I love that.
And we talked about that, waking up in the morning, going down the corner at 203 miles an hour. How's that feel to you? Is this place, what's it feel like in the middle of the car?
Carl, I want to know what it was like doing like 220 getting into turn 1.
I don't think I ever went 220, but I know this place got my attention for sure.
Yeah, I mean, mean, honestly, these things, they have a lot of grip, and the faster you go, whenever you're under the tire, you come to a place like this, you're just smashing the racetrack. They have a lot of grip. But so lap 1, I felt really good. I tried to hold my foot down for lap 2, and then things started coming out. I'm like, oh, baby, gotta get back out of it.
Well, you've said it a couple times. I think this car measures confidence really well. Just how confident you can be. Heavy wheel, the rear end underneath there. I mean, what was the trend of that 20 car here in practice?
So with this intermediate package, the Toyotas have had a really bad problem of going loose with laps. And it seems like as we lose pace, I don't know what it is, I'm not smart enough to say, but it feels like the back of the car comes up and you just lose that diffuser grip and you start getting loose. But today I honestly got a little bit tight, so hopefully that's a good sign for what's to come tomorrow.
Really fast in that 20 car. And reminder, AA, Christopher Bell, the only driver to win 3 straight races in the next-gen car, happened just a few months ago, earlier this season.
He's been impressive and want to continue to grow it throughout the middle of the summer as we head toward the playoffs when you know there'll be a threat. Ty Gibbs goes to the top of his teammate, 36.92. Everybody today running as fast, really, as what we've ever run here in qualifying next-gen era as we check in on the 48 of Alex Bowman.
Yeah, we thought Alex was pretty good as well in practice, and able to close that gap on Gibbs. Gibbs had a really, really good solid lap, and you see them, Gibbs and the 48 running the middle, higher portion of the corners, not really driving across the bottom of the racetrack like Braxton and a few others did.
I'm surprised both using the flat, so they obviously don't have the concern for the bumps that I thought they would. Another sub 37 second lap.
We've got these times in here, but you got to say the speed too, especially at Michigan. And I look at Gibbs, that 36.92, almost 195 miles per hour on the average. Just unbelievable. And they were talking about speed down there. It's just incredible what you generated this place.
Yeah, the end of the straightaway speed into turn 1 is pretty incredible, but what's really terrifying is right here, middle of the corner speed. Still going 193, 192 mile an hour, fully loaded in the center of the corner, fully committed to full throttle. That is guts. That is uncomfortable. That is unnatural. 3 car down to the bottom of the racetrack trying to cut a little bit of time off, and you see what it does, it improves it a little bit. Can you keep that speed off the corner down the straightaway? It's hard to keep that momentum. He loses a little bit of that back.
Third for Dillon, 37.12 behind Ty Gibbs and Alex Bowman. Here's the 88, Shane Van Gisbergen had the tire issue late in his group practice session, but we've talked about the big opportunities ahead for this 88 team when you consider how good he is at road racing. And Steve, you talked about just how impressive they've been at these intermediates recently, just getting their arms around oval racing at this level.
It's all the small details, like you saw a couple hundreds just coming to the green. Those are the things that make him so great next week. You can't measure them all, right? Like, where is it? It's a little bit everywhere. And then when you come to the oval, just the experience level just takes away a little bit everywhere. But improving, trending the right direction. His racing IQ is so high. I love having conversations with him. His humility for what he's accomplished really jumps out. I mean, this guy is the boy. Now that might have been a little too low for me over the big bump right there.
He's third, Kim.
And for Chase Briscoe is looking for his 3rd straight pole. As we talk about Michigan, though, high speeds, a lot of in-throttle time. How much commitment do you have to put out there as a driver during qualifying lap?
Yeah, it's for sure a lot of commitment. Honestly, this year it's a little bit easier because of this new tire. We're going to be pretty easy wide open, it looks like. So, yeah, typically, though, this place is like all about the commitment. But so far, it looks like everybody's ran wide open all the way around. So, yeah, it'll just all be about, the details, coming up to speed, hitting the shifts right, all those things. So, yeah, see who can do the best.
That's those details I was just talking about with SVG, right? So Briscoe, 2-time pole sitter, last 2 poles, he's already thinking about, as Dale said, just leaving pit road, just coming up through the gears, how much grip you get in 1 and 2, how you come through 3 and 4, maybe give up, not lift, but maybe a little bit wider arc into 3. So to Dale's point, you don't have to run the bottom, you kind of want to run the biggest arc you can and just get total speed into the car.
I was saying, like, Shane did a few things that cost him time in the first half of his run, but from the back straightaway all the way around to the front, he actually improved over what a lot of the other guys on the track did. So as are the others paying attention? You know, because everybody, you have to be perfect. You have to be perfect off pit road, get up to the gears, accelerate as good as you possibly can, come to the green running as fast as you can get that car going in a lap off of pit road, and then run the best lap you can run. Now, where can you find speed? Where can you cut distance off of the lap without really knocking speed out of the car? That's what all these drivers need to be paying attention to that are sitting there waiting to run. Watch every single one of these runs and go, oh, I like that. Take a little bit of this from this guy. Oh, I like what he did there. I'll take a little bit of that and see if you can't put together the perfect lap. A driver can make a little bit of a distance even though they're running these cars wide open.
I just did it. Right, that was a really nice 3 and 4. He had hit the boat.
Nice job, buddy. P3, 37 flat.
You know, the Collie cars this year have really shown a lot of speed at the intermediates. I think about AJ, but Ty as well. Best run of the year, 12, but they've had speed.
Yeah, they were awful last year everywhere, and I don't think they get enough credit for the gains they've made. We see gains out of several teams, but they've really improved.
201 straight line speed. So this car has more potential speed. The question is, does it have the grip for the corners? You saw the blip on the throttle. This car's trimmed out, meaning it is faster in a straight line than any car we've seen yet. The speed showed it down the front stretch. That makes this second trip through 3 and 4 going to be really tough on Josh Berry. Oh, out of the throttle yet.
Can't lift off the gas, and
look how he stops losing time. This car's straight line speed is very impressive.
it is.
Stabilized back to the line. Josh Berry to the top, 36.92. That puts us over 195 miles per hour for the first time in qualifying.
I think
today.
that's the perfect example of your options, right? When people talk about these cars being the same, they may be the same parts, but they are not the same race cars. The 21 had a decision, as you see Brian Keselowski trying to block the air with that left hand. You know, the 21 had a decision to set their car in a way that it was over 201 down the straightaway. Look at Brad, 198. That's 3 miles an hour in top speed difference.
Yeah, the 21 of Josh Berry is 29th in practice. Really impressed by that gain there. This is exactly what I feel like we saw from Brad in practice. Really good mid-corner speed, super good comfort there, but not a lot of straight line speed. You know, they're expecting this to be a hot, slick, tough racetrack tomorrow, and they want to capitalize on that. While these other cars that are trimmed out and running really great laps today, they're going to struggle mid-corner. You know, how does that work out in the race tomorrow? Brad's hoping that's an advantage for him.
And there's no means that I can see you're going to have fresh tires and track positioning at this race. It's just not going to happen the way these strategies work. So you're going to either have to have a great handling car that can stay wide open when you're in traffic, or if you have that great straight line car, you do not want to find traffic. You got to keep track positioning.
Talk about Collie racing and the speed that they found. Got to give a nod to Legacy Motor Club. What John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones have been doing has been impressive. Putting that duo together in the last month or so, they've had some really good runs. Nemechek, a winner here a couple of years ago in NASCAR's Xfinity Series, in the red as he comes off the corner here. Nice game coming back to the line.
I was pretty happy with this car in practice. They went out in the first group, and he was probably maybe the next best car to Todd Gibbs, who we thought was really good. This was another one as well. Priest was running some solid laps. Priest right there, -2 in 17th place in points for the playoffs. Needs to continue to have good runs. It'd be fun to see too, Steve, if they're sort of on the same package or trend or in the same way that their teammate Brad Keselowski is.
Yeah, so far it seems that way, right? We saw our 90s.
So down the back straightaway, just losing time because of the drag. See if we can gain a little bit more of that back in the corner, if any.
Teammate Brian Keselowski, 7th. On the board comes Ryan Priest, back to the start-finish line in the 60. That lap puts him 6th, right there, close to his teammate. Marty?
Boy, it is so tight out there, Adam. Let's chat with Denny Hamlin. Denny, when we're talking about from first to second being 7/1000ths of a second. What can you study here that might help you on your lap?
I'm working on race trim. They're working on qualifying, but really it's just seeing what is the grip level, checking out to see, how much throttle is being applied, who, the approach is coming up to speed, breaking all that stuff down to try to figure out how you can get a couple tenths of a mile per hour, because that obviously carries the entire lap.
Yeah, and just to update on Baby Watch real quick, Denny came to Michigan Adam at 6 a.m. this morning. No baby in the household yet, leaving immediately after he qualifies. He'll fly back in the morning, so no new Hamlin baby yet, but he will race tomorrow.
He's got to be patient on Baby Watch, but he'll be impatient on track, I'm guessing, right? Those two worlds not necessarily agreeing with one another. Cole Custer, fresh off his third top 20 finish of the year, is 7th right now of the 15 drivers that have been on track. '34, Todd Gilroy.
This team's looking for a little bit of a bounce at these high-speed ovals. A couple highlights: 12th at Kansas, 11th at Texas. Kind of right around 20th has kind of been their area, right? If you looked at their target most of the year, they run in that 17th to 20th range.
Teammate Noah Gregson has already made his qualifying run. He sits 11th of the 15 cars that have been out.
This is going to be right here for this teammate, I believe. Touch slower.
'71 is Michael McDowell. We talk so much about Spire and the speed that they have found. The road courses that are coming, something that would play into his favor. And he comes into the weekend not too far off that cut line. They've had a really successful first half of the regular season in the '71 camp.
Yeah, this car looks super draggy. Top speed barely into the 197 range. I saw 198 just for a second, continuing to bleed speed. And once again, makes it back a corner exit. So the reason I say that is because so it doesn't scrubbage much in the middle of the corner. Even though they're not lifting, it just has more overall grip, so it just turns better. So you should give up speed. But then from like the middle to the start-finish line, maybe gain a little speed back. Starting like right here, there you go. Starts to trend back the other way. And then you hit the aero drag and it stops moving.
14th for Michael McDowell.
I like that approach of, hey man, we're going to put some comfort in the car for tomorrow. You might suffer a little bit on lap time and qualifying, but you can't go too far.
That's what I mean. It's
Right.
great to qualify 32nd. You're never gonna. The car's never gonna get in a position to handle good.
Right.
You're gonna be in the mess the whole day.
Ty Dillon up there in 4th. Here's his teammate A.J. Allmendinger. And I'm not sure we gave them enough credit at Nashville for what they did to overcome the start of that race when they had the stop-and-go penalty because of the issues in inspection and the changes they had made to the car and all that stuff that happened prior to even practice last week. For them to come out of that and gain points on the cut line, the way they managed that race, something to celebrate for everybody in that 16 camp.
Well, they got a veteran with AJ, and he can do that, right? He's been doing this a long time. He knows exactly how to be savvy on the racetrack, good racecraft, aggressive on restarts.
Another driver that will benefit from the road course races that are coming. He is 5th right now in qualifying, top of the board, Josh Berry in the 21.
Yeah, the 17 car for us at RFK has had so much speed on practice days. Qualifies super well. In the race, I feel like our 3 cars are probably closer. We're still not sure why that is. But yeah, we'll certainly look and see if there's anything that stands out for us.
And you were kind enough to let me come over last week, be in the competition meeting. You've taken a real leadership role in this team. Can you tell us how that feels for you as a driver?
Great when we're fast, right? But like I tell people, I come to the race weekend and I got 3 chances to win. It's kind of how I feel about it, right? Which is good. When we're slow, it's like I'm not responsible for 3 slow cars. But this weekend it looks like we're going to have a couple really good ones, and I'm pumped to see if we can get victory.
Brad, it's interesting. You've stayed so optimistic throughout a pretty difficult season. With where you're at in points, do you circle Michigan? Do you feel like you're in a must-win situation?
Yeah, I think where we're at in points, Daniel, we definitely need to win. but there's a lot of opportunities to do that. Today's NASCAR is so much different than NASCAR years past. You know, I've had seasons over the last few years where you're like, hey, great points, we've done all the things right. You know, you get one win or no win at all, and you're like, at the end of the year, it doesn't mean anything. Wins are all that matters in NASCAR right now.
It's hard to believe we've run here 107 times in the Cup level AA, and no driver born from Michigan has ever won. Maybe BK could be the first to do it tomorrow.
I like that idea.
I feel like we got 3 pretty good chances this weekend with Brad, Eric Jones, Carson Hocevar. Let's go on board here with Zane Smith. Great run here last year. He's got a truck victory in Michigan. And this Ford is fast, up to third, 36.93, 194.9 on the speed charts.
And that's a Ford, right? And on the pole, Josh Berry's also a Ford, but 2 different approaches, it seems like, Steve, where I think this 38 actually had a little bit better corner speed.
Yeah.
Lost a little bit of speed down the straightaway, down the back straightaway. Here's the 2 car. Let's see if he's as trimmed out as the Wood Brothers Ford was. Looks like he's
Kind of in the middle. I had him more in that Zane Smith category.
I agree.
You got to see it, right? So the reason, you know, I know they're wide open, so if you're wondering at home, like, how are they going through the corner faster if both cars are wide open? Well, if you have more grip, you turn the wheel less, and it just doesn't grind as much.
Cindric locked into the playoffs, got a win at Talladega Super Speedway. And a really good lap going here. Gainer on it, back to the line, puts him 4th at a 36.93.
Yeah, so the vulnerability to the lap that Josh Berry ran is on corner exit of both turn 2 and turn 4. So I think if you're a driver and you're looking at the lap time, if you can get into turn 3 inside of a half a 10, you got a real shot to beat that 21 to the finish line.
Chase Briscoe, back-to-back poles. 3 pole positions this year, including 2 in Crown Jewels, the Daytona 500, Coke 600. And the driver from Indiana was flashing a little green, turning red now as he comes off the 2, but gaining on it down the back straightaway.
Yeah, definitely going to gain on Josh on corner exit and down the back straightaway. He's going to stay ahead off into turn 3, so this could possibly be somewhere around a 10th faster than the lap the 21 put down.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Big corner exit. Big corner exit. He's going to keep gaining all the way.
He is a qualifying machine, isn't he? Chase Briscoe to the top. 36.82. That's 195.514 miles per hour. Let's go to Kim.
Joey Logano, a 4-time pole winner at Michigan. None yet, though, in the next-gen car. So what's the single most important thing you can do as a driver during this qualifying lap to find that little extra bit?
It sounds simple, just hold it wide open all the way around, but I think it's everything but that. You got to really gut up to do it. It's definitely challenging, but it's an exhilarating lap, and I feel like our Hunt Brothers Pizza Mustang probably can do that. At least you got to convince yourself that it can do it, so you got to try it and see what we got.
Joey threw out the first pitch this week at the Kannapolis Cannonballers game. Lefty. I'm just going to say I'm really glad he's a good race car driver. I'm not trying to be mean. But the reality is he did not look comfortable on the mound. His Ford teammate looks good, though, in qualifying. Chris Buescher goes to second, 36.90. Won this race 2 years ago. He was 6th here last year, was Buescher, despite the fact he was involved in a little bit of an accident.
Kyle Busch on the racetrack now. This car was struggling in practice. Just no speed.
When you look at the bubble, this team just needs something. Needs a little bit of comfort, just a positive swing. He's above, but only by 2 points.
Right now, the lap's hanging in there.
Look at this.
Yeah.
You talk about next-gen era and speed at Michigan. He's a guy to watch. Last year had a good car here.
Pretty impressed, actually, because they weren't anywhere near the top 20 on time in practice, way down in 32nd.
Sometimes that practice sheet lies to us. And maybe Kyle Busch is the next example of that. Driver 8, 2-time champion, goes to second behind Briscoe.
36.85.
Toyota leads, Chevy is second, and Ford is third. Here's Eric Jones, another Michigan-born driver in the 43.
You know, we tipped our hat to Collin and what they've done this year for the turnaround. I think Legacy Motor Club is on the list for me as well. It kind of chose the little bit tougher road, right? And I mean that by instead of taking some of the other Joe Gibbs Racing or the other path that teams have done by finding a bigger race team to get their information around. Legacy, Jimmy Johnson and his group have tried to forge ahead, just leaning on Toyota and doing it themselves. And I think it's tougher to do it that way, but they're starting to see some of that improvement out of really both cars.
They've kind of been taking turns. You know, one week it's Nemechek, next week it's Jones. They start sharing the wealth and doing it on a regular basis. They're going to have something. And there they are. Look at them, 11th and 12th. 3,000 separate the teammates in qualifying.
So they're sharing very well.
Next car out, Chase Elliott. Talk about the fact that Hendrick Motorsports has not won a race here in Michigan since 2014. Gordon and Johnson got the sweep that year. Chase Elliott, his first 3 starts at this racetrack, was a runner-up.
Yeah.
He was so close to victory lane.
I would say that there was, you know, just maybe a little bit of a difficulty trying to get up to speed. Gave up a ton of time already. Once he got to the start-finish line, he was losing time, so just trying to accelerate off pit road, not able to really get that done. Oh, that car struggled across those bumps down low. A lot of violent reaction to that.
Chase Elliott right there with his teammate. He's 9th, right behind Bowman. Ross Chastain in the 1.
Suarez, his teammate, definitely struggles. He's 25th out of 26 cars. We'll see if that's an organizational situation or if he can find something. SVG's up there in 16th, so
you look at the lap time just going away as he's driving toward turn 1. That's all just straight line speed that the cars don't have. Looks like the H&S cars struggle with that as well, just a totally different approach. Possibly having way more drag, way more downforce than even some of the Fords we've seen earlier.
yeah, I mean, that's what I have to equate it to, right? We know they all have good horsepower, and if they get it to the point where it's trimmed out, I think you said it the best. Everybody is going to, if you qualify great, you're going to say you have great speed. If you qualify bad, you're going to say, man, but we're going to have a good race car. It's going to have a lot of downforce. And that's what you're banking on. This car is going to be hard. I'm sorry, Adam. I was just going to remember this car had the flat tire, and we think they might have to change the diffuser. So I'm not sure what we're going to learn here about the 45. Now, maybe if they have a great qualifying run, they'll believe the diffuser's repaired enough for the race.
Won this race a year ago, did Tyler Reddick. In fact, we talk about Ford and their dominance. Then Michigan could have been 10 in a row if not for Reddick and how he delivered here last season. That looks pretty good. In addition to winning here in the Cup Series, also has an Xfinity win at Michigan does Tyler Reddick. Last year's regular season champ is 8th on the board in qualifying.
Now that's going to make the decision to change the diffuser more difficult. Right? If the repairs they've made on pit road is okay by NASCAR and they don't have to go to the back, that's a pretty good qualifying spot to give up.
Cars to go in qualifying. First to those, Christopher Bell. Teammate leads the way. Briscoe up there to 36.82.
Gaining down the back straightaway, though. He did a really good job shaping the corner off into turn 1 and being able to point that car for good acceleration down the back straightaway. A little bit lower down here in 3 and 4 on entry. Might cost him on exit, and it does. Up the racetrack, out of the throttle. Ooh. And look at the time. Oh, man, he had a car that likely qualifies in the top 3. Made a bit of a mistake by narrowing up the entry to 3, hoping that the front would stick. It did not. way down the list at 18th.
Yeah, it goes from a potential top 5 to probably starting outside the top 20. Here's Bubba Wallace.
Bubba was really loose in practice and made some adjustments on that car. Was able to get that car running laps up in the top 10 in speeds. Laps looking somewhat similar to his teammate Tyler Reddick, who's sitting 8th right now. Boy, he did a good job through turn 4 there to gain a little bit back.
Get a feel for speed. That camera shows it. 6th for Wallace, 36.93. Talk about Michigan drivers that have a chance to win. You put Carson Hocevar on the board. This has been the talking point all week long. Sunday evening at Nashville, 77 into the 47 Stenhouse.
Early in the race, too, only about 100 laps in, which I think adds to the conversation. You know, I don't think it's a huge issue if that's in the last 5 or 6 laps. Every position matters, obviously, but that early in the race, very divided. Fans are loving what he did. Fans are not at all loving what he did. But either way, we know one thing. You mentioned it. I think he does have a chance to win. Imagine being the first Michigan guy to do it and be it your first win. I mean, it would be quite a move.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is we've seen 2 weeks in a row this car be really impressively quick. We've seen somebody get better, but now they're sitting there in legitimate conversations about talking whether they can win races. Can that continue? Will that happen again this weekend?
He'll be in the conversation, no doubt. Qualifying 10th. Also in the conversation, Dale, you and I talked about the 5 of Larson and what we're going to see. Not the car we're used to seeing in practice. Looked like it lacked a little bit of speed. Took a bit of a ride last night in the World of Outlaw race.
Well, if we look at the lap times of his teammates, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of this car. Looks like they're sort of trimmed to handle better in tomorrow's race as opposed to run really fast laps in qualifying today.
I bring up that wreck, you know, got a little upside down, the Outlaw race. It was kind of no harm, no foul, but you wonder if too much seat time can ever be an issue. I don't know if that's the case for him, but
this lap's actually holding on better than what I expected, so he could put this car into the top 10 here, depending on what happens down here in turn 3 and 4.
Last Chevy to win here, Kyle Larson, 2017. Got his first career victory here, 2016. Overall, had 3 in a row at that time, and you said it, really good lap. 3rd overall for Larson, 36.88.
Had a really good turn 3 and 4. Looks like Briscoe lost a little bit of speed off of turn 4 for some reason. So we're seeing a lot of cars gain just a little bit. So if anybody's got a shot, you know, you're going to have to be really, really close coming off of turn 4. That's where Briscoe seems to have had a little bit of a hiccup. Joe Logano's got his hand up trying to have some of the air. I'm not sure if that really works or he's convinced it does.
Logano, 3-time winner at Michigan, including his first victory when he went over to drive for the captain, Roger Penske.
It's going to be a fascinating last few cars. Right, because we still have Hamlin out there, who's the Gibbs teammate, who says he's focused mostly on race trim.
Yep.
$12 for Logano. 3 to go. Byron, Hamlin, Blaney.
I expect Byron to be somewhat similar to his teammates, giving up a little bit of speed on the straightaway for that comfort mid-corner. See if time starts going away. He's hanging in there. There it goes a little bit. But he's in a little bit better, maybe a couple thousand better than, or a couple hundreds better than his teammate Kyle Larson down the back straightaway. So the top 3 lap, potentially.
I mean, you'd like to set on the pole, but back to our talk about downforce and drag. If I qualify anywhere inside the top 15, I'm going to say that's kind of mission accomplished. And this is easily going to do that as he gains some time back.
Runner-up here for Byron in 2 of the last 4 races. And he jumps up just in front of his teammate in qualifying. Byron 3rd in front of Larson. Briscoe and Bush the top 2 with 2 remaining. Here's Denny Hamlin trying to run down his teammate. Last Sunday evening in Nashville, it was an all Joe Gibbs Racing front row. Briscoe and Hamlin won 2. So they can get a repeat performance here.
Big top speed, 200 miles an hour. It hasn't been a given on every car. Some cars have been too draggy to get there. Denny got there.
He needs to be right about here in the split off of turn 4. Gives up a little bit on entry there. He's going to have to gain a lot of that back. It's going to be tight.
Nice comeback to the line. Not good enough to get to the top. Hamlin is 3rd, 36.86, 195.3 on the speed chart.
Stayed on the racetrack and high on the racetrack, almost a lane off the white line. Wonder if that had to be by design. There's no way Denny just ran up there for no reason. He's been given instruction to not get in those bumps.
Chase Briscoe going for 3 poles in a row. It'd be 4 this season. And the last car out, Ryan Blaney, our most recent winner, dominated last Sunday evening in Music City. And a driver that's won here at Michigan. Did it in 2021.
Is Ryan Blaney set up, trended more toward the Wood Brothers Ford or more like Logano? Pretty high on the racetrack there. Yep, trying to bring the throttle just a little bit. It's going to cost him some time.
Blaney's not going to get there. How about it? 3 in a row for Chase Briscoe. He leads him to the green tomorrow in the Irish Hills. First time a driver has won 3 consecutive poles since Kyle